So for most tournaments, documentation is a very vital part of verifying players' age. Most of the AFF tournaments require your birth certificate, Aadhaar card, and the CRS ID. But for SYAC, we want to go the extra mile when it comes to documentation. So we ask a set of primary and secondary documents.
So we have made a central drive and we ask all the teams to upload the documents on the drive, and from there we do all the checks of the documents, and even the other teams also do it as we give them the access for it. So in primary documents, we compulsory ask for 3 documents, that is Aadhaar card, birth certificate and last 3 years of mark sheet. And in secondary documents, we have 7 set of documents. From them, 3 documents they can submit it, that is immunization records, PAN card, ration card, school transfer certificate, COVID certificate, passport, health insurance from the club or personal. Any 3 can be submitted.
No, so the participants of the State Age Cup have taken a stand against age fraud, but that doesn't negate the fact that as tournament organizers, we need to do our due diligence, go the extra mile when it comes to verifying whether a player is indulging in age fraud or not. So documentation is one of the many systems or the flagging of systems that we have implemented, which helps us get closer to the answer. So besides the documentations, players and the teams have to upload full-length photos of all the players taking part. And that kicks off the first step, which is the eye test, to verify whether a player is visibly overage or not. The second step is the documentation, going the extra mile of checking if the date of birth match the documents and as well as the number of documents. The third and fourth are to do with your testing and your on-field performance, which Atharva Head of Performance will.
Yeah, so we'll be doing tests really related to speed and power, because those metrics are something which once you get matured, you will do better in. Again, these are not tests which will tell you for sure if somebody is not their age, but it will give you at least one data point which you can use it along with other metrics to see or to verify that. The test which we'll be doing for speed is a 30-meter sprint test. So we are fortunate to have speed geeks with us. For power, we do a broad jump. So that is basically just one broad jump you do. And we want to see how much horizontal distance they cover. So that will give you a rough indication of lower body power. And another test which we do is for agility, which is the arrowhead agility, which we do left and right. Yes, so we'll be taking their height, weight and seated height. So with these data points, you get something known as a Mirwald APHV. So APHV is age at predicted height velocity. So that is an indicator. So predicted height velocity is something which now the common term for it is growth spurt. So between the ages of 13 and 15, mainly for boys, that is when your final accelerated growth happens. So with these 3 measurements and also their age, there is an equation which gives you an indicator of when the kid will go into this growth spurt, which is basically age at APH or APHE. Yes, so like I said, with the performance side of the performance test, it's not like a clear-cut way of telling that if a player is of the age or he's showing something and he's actually older. It is along with other metrics, like you said, documentation and every documentation also in terms of these tests which they do. It gives you an indication, because when you have 10 data points saying one thing and only one data point saying one thing, it's better to have 10. So yeah.
So there is a central drive where the documents are uploaded. We also have a Google form which is shared across to all the teams. One member from each team is assigned as the team manager to flag off any sort of issues that they see. The aim is a collaborative effort. There is transparency of documents, transparency of information to all the tournament organizers, as well as all the participants of it. And the aim is to go the extra mile, to look within our own documents, look within our own sort of systems to help read our age. Well, firstly, it's important to note that the TW3 was never intended for an Indian population. The sole purpose of the test was to identify growth patterns and defects in European children and was never meant for the Indian populace because the genealogy is different. Secondly, it was never also used as a gatekeeper for verification of a player's age. Now, what that does is the chronological age versus a biological age, there's a huge mismatch. We all obviously know that children grow at a very different rate. You have, especially during puberty. So a player born in a year may mature faster or slower biologically. And this sort of penalizes in some way the early developers, even if their documentations are valid. When it comes to the measurement variability, it's not precise science. So it gives you a certain decimal point, and the checkers that are used are only on a one-time basis. So a player, let's say being registered for the sub-juniors, is tested at a particular age, and then that test remains for the remainder of their youth development, which is, again, like mentioned, the way they develop might be different. So the players are missing out on particular tournaments just by virtue of it being as a sole criteria. So the reliance of it, the over-reliance about the TW3 helps nobody, and it sort of negates players who may have certain documentation variability, but is being treated as the final word, but even overriding their documentation. Yeah, so because there is no sort of, at least with genuine documentations are getting disqualified because of the reliance on solely of skeletal maturity. And that could obviously lead to a loss of motivation, players playing in higher age groups, which we know is unsafe for them, and overall affecting the system that we play. So it's important to obviously know that there is no silver bullet for this. There is no immediate solution for it, but the amnesty scheme that we've seen and we've noticed across other sports really holds a lot of value. It's where players can voluntarily disclose their real age without suffering any sort of penalty, and being able to correct and right their wrongs, which was once done by no virtue of their own. Sometimes the kids themselves are not at fault. It is the parents, the coaches, and other stakeholders that indulge in this practice where the kid suffers. And an amnesty scheme helps players come forth, disclose their age, and get to play in the tournaments that as per the right age. So the Badminton Association of India had introduced the VARS, a voluntary age rectification system, where within a window players could come forth, rectify their ages without facing any sort of fines, bans, stripping away of medals, etc. So this worked because it allowed players to come forth, right their wrongs, and continue playing the sport without worrying about the repercussions of it. And the systems that followed after the window was, if they did not avail of this scheme, then they would face a 2-year ban. And if they were caught even after incentivizing or using this voluntary scheme, then they'd face a ban of 5 years. So this helps the ecosystem sort of clean itself, get the players and the stakeholders more reliant on cleaning up shop and being able to come forth and list the right age. I think if you look at the Stay Your Age Cup, the concept of transparency for all the teams participating and a collaborative effort just shows that within a group of 5-6 teams taking part in a competition, we are holding ourselves accountable to a higher standard of rectifying documentation, making sure the right age players are playing in competitions, because that eventually helps them develop. Playing against players of the right age will eventually develop the entire ecosystem, and it helps weed up. By weeding out age fraud, we're actually moving in the right direction.